He was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified of Suge Knight.
Right.
I mean, terrified.
I know.
No, too
See, I got a phone call from Suge one time. He's out of prison. He said Cal ain't big enough for me, him, and Puff.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, I say, when you moving? Because I just bought a house. You know, man, I grew up in the Galileo project.
right.
Ain't nobody gonna solve press me, man.
Right.
I don't care who you is.
Everybody else was scared of
Right.
everybody. That's when Suge Knight was the monster, the boogeyman.
Everybody at that time was deadly afraid of shit.
The streets were buzzing when word spread that a crew connected to Suge Knight pulled up on Master P during one of the most unpredictable eras in West Coast and Southern rap history. The culture already knew Suge had a reputation for taking problems straight to whoever he felt crossed the line, but this moment showed a whole different layer to the story, because Master P wasn't just another artist moving around Hollywood. He came with discipline, business vision, and a code that didn't bend for anybody. And when these two giants found themselves orbiting the same territory, things heated up quick. No exaggeration, the whole situation felt like a collision of two empires that ran the game their own way. This wasn't the kind of clash that started over petty comments or small-time industry drama. This was deeper, older, and rooted in the power struggles that shaped hip-hop behind closed doors. Suge was holding down Death Row Records with an iron grip, respected for pushing legends to the top, but also feared for how he handled his business. Master P, on the other hand, was building No Limit Records into a movement that nobody saw coming. Independent money, family loyalty, and a blueprint that had the entire South looking unstoppable. These were two different worlds with two different philosophies, but both men understood dominance, respect, and territory.
They spent all this money on your album and marketing, but wasn't getting no way out ass money. On No Limit had money. Everybody on No Limit had a house, a car, two in a bank account.
The rumor hit the streets that someone in Suge's circle felt P was stepping into spaces that Death Row used to control. Whether it was talent, influence, or just raw respect, the tension was thick. Instead of a phone call or a meeting, some individuals allegedly decided to confront P face to face, ready to test whether his rise was as solid as it looked. But here's where everything flipped. Instead of backing down, Master P stood firm, making it clear that No Limit didn't shake easy. What happened next turned this from a small confrontation into a legendary story that people still talk about today. It's important to understand why this even mattered. West Coast rap was undergoing major shifts, the South was rising, and the industry was watching to see who would control the next wave of culture. Master P wasn't just a rapper, he was an entrepreneur stacking success that wasn't controlled by major labels or outside forces. That independence made him a threat to certain people who were used to calling the shots. So when Suge's people pulled up, expecting intimidation to work, they quickly realized they walked into the wrong type of room. Because P wasn't the kind of man you could corner, shake, or pressure. Instead, he handled the moment with a level of calm strength that caught everybody off guard. This wasn't a street brawl. It was a clash of attitudes, strategies, and reputations. And the way it ended made the industry understand that Master P was not to be underestimated, no matter who tried to press up on him.
Years don't get much more emotionally trying than the one Snoop Doggy Dogg has just gone through.
The jury,
Surviving a murder trial.
not guilty of the crime of murder in the first.
Conversation, they got to understand it. Worked out some numbers.
Told me what it was, and I put an extra $200 or $300.
I seen all of the that supposedly had the money. Master P had the money.
True independence.
He had the money.
The build-up to this confrontation didn't happen overnight. It started with the shifting music landscape of the late 90s when No Limit was climbing the charts faster than anyone expected. P dropped album after album, built a roster of loyal artists, and created a business model that had the big labels frustrated. Suge Knight wasn't blind to this. He saw No Limit gaining momentum in markets where Death Row once dominated. And when someone rises that quickly, it makes powerful people pay attention. Death Row was going through changes, and some individuals close to Suge felt that outsiders were trying to capitalize on the chaos. That's when whispers started. People claimed P was moving boldly in territories Death Row believed they still controlled. To add even more fuel, there were rumors that certain artists who once circled around Death Row were now getting drawn toward the No Limit machine. Whether those rumors were true or exaggerated, the perception alone was enough to make the situation tense. As the story circulated, a few individuals close to Suge apparently decided to handle things the old-fashioned way, confront first, ask questions later. They pulled up on Master P expecting him to fold or give some kind of explanation about his fast rise. But what they didn't understand was this: Master P wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing ownership, legacy, and generational success. So when they approached him with aggressive energy, he didn't panic. He didn't back off. Instead, he faced it head on with a level of confidence that surprised everyone.
Everything was in Suge Knight's name. Business accounts was his accounts. Manager was his wife. Imagine all of that being twisted up like an octopus. On top of that, I was being just disrespected like, oh, he's whack.
I told Snoop, we the biggest company in the world now. If he needed a home, why not be with us?
I was working against the devil, and through the grace of God, Master P put a deal together.
According to people who were around during that era, P spoke calmly, clearly, and with purpose. He wasn't reckless and he wasn't disrespectful. He simply let them know he operated independently, owed nobody anything, and wasn't scared of pressure from anybody in the industry. That's when the tone shifted, because when someone stands firm without escalating, it exposes who's actually in control of the moment. What makes this story wild is how fast the energy changed. Individuals who expected Master P to show fear suddenly realized they were facing a businessman who understood power differently. He didn't need to yell, posture, or threaten. His presence alone was enough. The people who rolled up on him started to notice the kind of unity No Limit had. This wasn't a loose crew. They were organized, loyal, and disciplined. That's the difference between a noise-making team and a movement built on structure. By the time the conversation ended, everything the individuals expected to happen flipped upside down. Instead of dominating the moment, they ended up respecting P's stance. The confrontation didn't turn into chaos. It became a message, one that spread fast through the industry. If anyone thought Master P was easy to push around, that thought disappeared right then and there.
Death Row Records mastermind Marion Suge Knight has been in lockdown for violating state probation by beating the hell out of some guy to...
My business was garbage back then. Death Row Records. I let them control everything because I trusted them and I felt like they wouldn't do me wrong. They put me in the game.
We the biggest company in the world now. If he needed a home, why not be with us?
Once word got out about how the confrontation ended, the entire industry started looking at Master P differently. People already knew he was a smart businessman, but now they understood he was solid in real-life situations too. He brought a different kind of leadership to hip-hop. Not intimidation, not chaos, but strategy, planning, and community loyalty. Suge Knight's reputation was built on force and authority, while P's reputation came from discipline, focus, and financial wisdom. When those two energies clashed, it showed exactly why the confrontation backfired. The more details surfaced, the more people realized how much the two worlds contrasted. Death Row built their dominance through raw power and unapologetic presence. No Limit built their empire through structure and independence. That difference mattered. When the individuals confronted P, they expected the typical reaction that many artists would show under pressure. But P wasn't a typical artist. He was building an empire brick by brick, and no outside force could make him question his own journey. What surprised a lot of people was how P managed to avoid letting the situation escalate into unnecessary problems. Instead of meeting aggression with aggression, he met aggression with clarity. He didn't insult anyone. He didn't throw threats. He simply made it clear that No Limit wasn't stepping on anybody's territory. They were building something new. This approach threw the individuals off balance because it showed a level of emotional control that's rare in high-stakes moments.
We went on the stage, and Dog got left.
He was in the green room, so this is what happened. But we sitting on the inside. Death Row guys walk up. So we chopping it up. 5 minutes later, it's about 7 of them around me. I ain't paying attention, so the soldiers then went on stage. Now I'm back here talking to these deaf about myself.
I met with Suge Knight and said, look, man, what you want for Snoop? I heard that you got a deal on the table.
The backfired part came when the individuals realized Master P wasn't scared. He was prepared. No Limit didn't move sloppy. They moved with unity and respect. The reason this mattered is simple. People who operate with discipline are harder to intimidate, and people who build success through structure are harder to knock off their path. What was supposed to be a show of dominance turned into a moment where the individuals had to acknowledge P's strength. Behind the scenes, industry executives started talking. If Master P could hold his ground against one of the most feared reputations in hip-hop without losing control, that meant he had a different level of influence than everyone realized. And that's when it hit people. No Limit wasn't just a label, it was a new era. The South was rising with power that nobody could deny, and Master P was steering the ship with a steady hand. The confrontation was supposed to scare him. Instead, it strengthened his legacy, and the individuals who tried to press him learned a lesson. Some leaders don't need force to demand respect. They earn it through action, consistency, and wisdom. That's why the moment became legendary, because it revealed the power of a different kind of strength.
That's when Master P stepped in and gave me a better situation.
I respected Snoop as an artist. I was a fan. I felt like Snoop needed a team.
He showed me how to put business because I hadn't had a record label. I was always talking that doggy style, but I didn't have no record label. Master P showed me how to put a label together, how to go get money.
As time passed, the story grew into one of the most iconic tales of how business-minded artists survived the unpredictable energy of late 90s hip-hop. The confrontation became a reference point for how differently people operated when the stakes were high. Suge Knight had built a brand on direct control and raw authority. Master P built a brand on independence and smart decision-making. When these two worlds touched, the outcome showed the culture that strength comes in many forms. People in the industry started discussing what the moment represented. Some said it symbolized the shift from the old guard to a new era, one where artists no longer depended on major labels or strong-arm tactics to succeed. Master P proved that a rapper could be an executive, a leader, and a visionary all at once. He wasn't trying to compete with Death Row. He was creating something completely different. That's what made the situation so powerful. The individuals who confronted him eventually realized aggression wasn't the answer. They expected resistance, fear, maybe even chaos. Instead, they got intelligence, calmness, and unity. It forced them to rethink how they viewed P. They didn't walk away defeated. They walked away informed. They saw firsthand that No Limit was not a small-time operation. It was a disciplined machine led by someone who thought 5 steps ahead.
And I told him I wanted $3,500 because I was broke and I was just like, could he get some money? P gave me a check for $35,000. All right, he put another zero on that motherfucker. It's my kind of...
Wait,
I did 3 albums with Master P.
3 albums?
Yeah, when I left Death Row Records, I signed with No Limit Records, which was the hottest rap label in the industry.
This is true.
When I signed with No Limit Records, they was the hottest.
This moment also changed how artists from the South were viewed. Before No Limit, the industry didn't always respect Southern artists as major players, but when Master P stood his ground the way he did, people realized the South wasn't just coming, it was here to stay. His response to the confrontation became a blueprint for staying solid without letting the streets pull you into unnecessary trouble. Meanwhile, people around Suge Knight acknowledged the shift too. The confrontation wasn't a victory for them, but it wasn't a loss either. It was an eye-opener. It showed that not everyone in the industry could be moved with fear. Some leaders knew how to stay calm, even when the pressure was at its highest. Those moments separate the reckless from the strategic, and P showed he was absolutely the latter. In the years that followed, both men continued shaping hip-hop in their own ways. Their paths didn't merge, but their influence remained strong. The streets kept whispering about the confrontation because it represented more than a tense moment. It symbolized a turning point in the game, a moment when a new empire proved it was just as real, just as powerful, and just as solid as the ones that came before it.
Off stage in the middle of the performance.
And boom, and everybody was like running out the gate, so we run after.
DJ's got the record spinning. There's gunshot.
I get a whiz, no cuts, no scars, no hits, no nothing, but I run right into the law with weed in my pocket and everything because I'm trying to save my life. They handcuffed me. He put me in the back of the police car.
They didn't know where Snoop was. They're screaming, where the is Snoop? Snoop, all right. The 20 cops aiming shotguns at him. They're screaming back, you all need to get on your knees, everybody on your knees. And they're like, we ain't getting on our...
The legacy of this confrontation continues because it stands as one of the clearest examples of how different leadership styles create different outcomes. Suge Knight moved the culture with force and influence. Master P moved the culture with discipline and independence. When these energies collided, it showed the world that hip-hop wasn't just one-dimensional. It had room for all kinds of power. Physical power, financial power, mental power, and leadership power. People still talk about how the individuals expected to intimidate P, not realizing they were facing a man who built an empire from the ground up through planning, loyalty, and smart business structure. No Limit was not a crew that moved loosely. They were a family with a mission. And when a movement has that kind of unity, outside pressure doesn't break it, it sharpens it. What makes the moment even more legendary is how it changed perceptions inside and outside the industry. Executives started giving more respect to Southern artists. Media outlets began paying attention to the new wave rising from New Orleans. And artists everywhere began studying Master P's blueprint. Own your music, build your brand, keep your people loyal, and stay ready for anything. The confrontation didn't turn into a fight, and that's what made it so powerful. Silence, confidence, and composure ended up being stronger than force. P didn't win by showing aggression. He won by showing control. And that moment spread across the industry like wildfire. People respected Suge for his influence, but now they respected P for his resilience.
Master P went to go visit Suge Knight in the penitentiary and struck a deal.
That Row had to sell Snoop to keep the business rolling. No Limit, we could make a business move like that.
They take me and my cousin Daz to jail, and when we get in there, Ray J's in there. So we spend 4 hours in jail with Ray J. I ain't making this up, man.
Limit did prove to Snoop that we had his back.
He's not with Death Row no more, he's with No Limit. Nobody's messing with Snoop. That's it.
Eventually, the situation faded from the headlines, but the lesson lasted forever. It taught the culture that powerful leaders don't always need to shout or intimidate. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who stays calm while everyone else tries to stir chaos. That's what made Master P stand out. That's why No Limit became unstoppable. And that's why this story still gets retold decade after decade. Two giants crossed paths, and instead of destruction, the outcome became a symbol of growth, evolution, and the changing face of hip-hop power. The individuals who rolled up expecting to press him learned something real. Some empires are built not on fear, but on discipline, structure, and belief. And once an empire like that rises, nothing can shake it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in hip-hop history.